Hello, and welcome to the 4v4 Flag Football Captain's Info presentation. This presentation is for the Spring 2020 semester for UTA Intramural Sports. In this presentation, we'll cover our policies, where we play, the rules of the game, our scheduling software, IAMLeagues, and the league schedule, awards for our champions, upcoming events, and how to contact us. The intramural sports staff is comprised of the Assistant Director, Travis Langford, as well as student program assistants, student supervisors, and student officials. If you need to get in contact with us, please email us at iamsports@uta.edu. Our website is uta.edu/intramuralsports. You can find links to our rules, handbook, policies and procedures, as well as other events that are going on at campus recreation. IAMLeagues is our scheduling software that we'll talk about. The rules in the handbook can also be found on IAMLeagues. Eligibility to play intramural sports is available to current UTA students, faculty and staff that have a MAC membership, and campus recreation membership holders. All of these are allowed to participate in intramural sports activities. Alumni must have a membership to play. All players are required to check in with the ID checker before the game. If you don't have your ID, you cannot play that night. 2 campus recreation membership holders are allowed on a team, maximum. The MAC members must show proof of membership to play. Players are not allowed to play on 2 different teams in the same division. A random eligibility check is held on the field, and a full check is held in the intramural sports office. If the game in which a player signs in is a forfeit, they're still considered to have played in that game and to be on that team's roster. Players may be added at any point in the season or postseason, so should you have problems finding players on a given night, you can still add to your roster. Game time is forfeit time, and a forfeit earns your team a 2 in sportsmanship, which we'll talk about on the next slide. If you know that your team can't make a game, you may call the intramural sports office or email iamsports@uta.edu. If this is done by 3 p.m. on the day of the game, or 3 p.m. Friday for a game on the weekend, this is called a default and will carry a sportsmanship rating of 2.5. Players are not allowed to switch teams after the second week of the season, and if they do before the second week, they will have to sit out a minimum of 1 week in order to transfer between teams. Our sportsmanship system is as follows. Teams will be awarded a sportsmanship grade for each game based on their conduct. A 4.0 or an A is above and beyond conduct and sportsmanship. Good conduct and sportsmanship will be assigned a B or a 3. Average conduct and sportsmanship is a 2. Below average conduct and sportsmanship is a 1. And an F or 0 points is poor conduct and sportsmanship. Teams must maintain a 2.5 average in order to be eligible for playoffs. And once in the playoffs, a team must maintain that 2.5 average in order to remain in the playoffs. The way our structure works in the playoffs is that every team makes the playoffs, except for those that don't qualify because of sportsmanship or forfeit. Unsportsmanlike behavior will result in a caution, which could be penalties within the game, ejection, suspension, or a judicial hearing or dismissal from school in some of the most extreme cases. In all of our intramural sports sites, there is no smoking, no alcohol, and no tobacco products. All intramural sports participants play at their own risk. However, the Department of Campus Recreation encourages all participants to have medical insurance in case of injury. Every team makes the playoffs, except for teams that have 2 or more forfeits, or teams that default or forfeit greater than a combined 50% of their scheduled games, or any teams with less than a 2.5 sportsmanship average. If there are enough teams, there will be 2 divisions, a competitive bracket with teams that have a win-loss record above 500, and teams that have a win-loss record below 500 will go into the recreational bracket. During playoffs, the scheduling is done online, and the priority of selection has to do with the standings, the seed during the regular season. That's decided primarily by win-loss record, and a tiebreaker will be sportsmanship, and then which team has more forfeits or defaults, if they've played head-to-head, and finally our last tiebreaker is points against. Unfortunately, it is impossible to ensure that every team plays at their usual time, so be prepared to play on a date time that is not unusual. We don't reschedule games. Remember, you can still add players all the way through the championship game. We play at the Campus Recreation Fields Complex. If you search intramural fields in Google Maps, it'll take you right there. It's at the intersection of Mitchell and Fielder, and you must have your ID to enter at all times, no exceptions. There's no alcohol allowed, no tobacco, no smoking or vaping, but pets are allowed at the Campus Recreation Fields Complex. Teams will play 2 games per week, and the day of the week depends on which division you signed up for. We will notify all players via IamLeagues if the game is canceled for weather. We also post on our social media sites. Please ensure that all players are on the roster before the first game. If you have any issues getting players on the roster on IamLeagues, please email iamsports@uta.edu. Teams must have jerseys that match, and all of them must have a number. If you don't have jerseys, Intramural Sports has some for you to borrow. All players must wear athletic shoes, and no bare feet, flip-flops, metal cleats, or boots are allowed. Players will be issued an unsportsmanlike conduct if wearing a metal spike. They are also going to be ejected if they injure someone with their metal spikes. No jewelry is allowed. Players must have shorts and pants without pockets to play. Shirts must be tucked in, and the flags must be worn on the hips and the backside. 4 players constitute a team, and teams must have 3 minimum present to play. 4v4 plays 2 10-minute halves. Each team has 1 timeout for the whole game. The clock starts on the snap to begin each half and then runs continuously for the first 19 minutes of the game. The clock will only stop in the last minute. At game time, the opposing team will be awarded the ball and the choice at half, and the clock will start should one of the teams not be present. At 3 minutes, the opposing team will be awarded a 6-point touchdown and a 3-point conversion. And after 10 minutes, the opposing team will win by forfeit, and the final score will be 18-0. The winning team is awarded a 3 in sportsmanship, and the forfeiting team will be awarded a 2. Teams will play a doubleheader every week. There will be no overtime in the regular season. And for scoring, each touchdown is 6 points. In co-rec, a female touchdown is 9 points. For a point after try, you can go for 1 from the 3-yard line, 2 from the 10-yard line, or 3 from the 20-yard line. And a safety is 2 points. If a team is ahead by 19 or more points, 25 for co-rec, at the 1-minute warning, the game is over. The field is only 40 yards in length, with 10-yard end zones, and is 30 yards wide. Teams have 3 downs to advance beyond the line to gain, and if they cannot, the ball will go over on downs, and the opposing team will begin their drive at their own 10-yard line. There is no punting in intramural 4v4 flag football. In 4v4, the offense cannot advance the ball through the line without a forward pass. Each down must have an illegal forward pass in 4-on-4, and it does not have to be beyond the line of scrimmage. All 10-yard penalties are 5 yards, and what would be 5-yard penalties are 3 yards. The quarterback has 5 seconds to throw the ball, and the time starts at the snap. This does not reset if the ball changes hands. If the quarterback does not throw the ball within 5 seconds, it is simply treated like an incomplete pass. The play is over. It is the next down. The defense cannot cross the line of scrimmage until a forward pass has been released. Even to cover a receiver, they still cannot cross the line of scrimmage. The penalty for this is illegal advancement and 3 yards from the previous spot. For co-rec, teams may not have more than 2 of each gender. And as previously discussed, a touchdown scored by a female player in co-rec only is 9 points. The offense cannot have 2 consecutive forward pass completions from a male passer to a male receiver. The competitive division champions will receive t-shirts, and a player has to have played in at least 2 games to be eligible for a t-shirt. If a player misses the championship game, they can come into the office to pick up their shirt up until the end of the semester. Every champion will receive a wing party at Pluckers in Arlington. They will receive 100 boneless bites per team. You have to be present to receive the boneless bites, and please take care of the waitstaff. Tip them as if you were buying the wings. You have to use the coupon before the end of the semester. Typically, the Friday after graduation is your deadline. We're glad you're playing this sport with us. Please take a look at the other sports we have available. Our team sports are on the left, and the individual dual sports that we have to offer that are free are on the right. All of these can be signed up for on IamLeagues. As we said earlier, all of our rules and policies and other information can be found on our website. Give us a call at 817-272-3277 or send us an email at iamsports@uta.edu. We also now have an Instagram, so follow us at UTA IM Sports and like us on Facebook.